Hi guys, this is solving absolute value equations for Algebra 2, the introduction. Make sure that you get these definitions down. Make sure you write them down and kind of understand them. I'll be talking about them a little bit more as we go through the examples. So when we're talking about the absolute value, we're talking about the total distance of whatever is inside our absolute value signs. The absolute value signs are these, straight lines up and down. So absolute value, by definition, is a distance from 0. So if we start at 0 and we want to travel a distance from there, it's whatever, that distance is in both directions, because you could travel a distance to the right or the distance of a to the left. And in either instance, distance is always positive. So whatever way you go, it's positive distance. So if this is 3 feet here, if you walk out of a door and you go 3 feet to the right, that's positive 3 feet. But if you walk 3 feet to the left, that's still going to be positive distance. You can't go negative distance. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. So this is always going to be positive, the distance from 0. So when we're dealing with that and solving actual equations, you're going to have two scenarios. One is going to be to the right of 0, and one is going to be to the left of 0. So what's going to happen is we're going to have two equations that we're going to have to solve always. So when you're solving absolute value equations, the first thing that you want to do is solve for what's up until the absolute value line. So you're trying to get this by itself. So you might have numbers over here or numbers over here. You want to get rid of those first. And then once you get the absolute value part of the equation by itself, you're going to set it up into two equations, one for the positive direction of 0 and one for the negative direction of 0. Now, since we have this by itself, you have two equations. You're going to have x minus 4 equals 5. We can kind of think of it as, to the right of 0, and then x minus 4 to the left of 5 in the negative direction. So then what you do is you solve each equation for your value of x. You're going to have, more than one solution here. So plus 4, that x is going to come down so that you have x plus 0 equals 9. So x equals 9 in one direction, or you have to solve for x in the other direction. So you would add 4. And you're going to see that you're going to do the same process for both equations. So x comes down. Oops, that's a 4. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. And then negative 5 plus 9 is going to give you a positive 4 here. So x equals 4. So when you're solving these absolute value equations, you have two answers that you're going to get. One, if x is in one direction, or if it's in, the other direction. So here we have two answers. X can be 9, or it can be 4. And you'll kind of get the hang of it. Right now, I just want you to understand how to set up the problems and solve them. We'll get more into the theory in class. So same thing here, we have another example. There's nothing here on the outside and nothing here on the outside over here, so we can go ahead and set up our equations. Now, one rule that you need to know, we said by definition that the absolute value, it can never be negative. Okay, so if you have an absolute value equation set to a negative number, this is actually going to be no solution, because the absolute value of anything is always a positive distance, and you can't have a positive be equal to a negative. That's false. Okay, so if you have the absolute value of something equal to a negative number, you're going to have no solution. Okay, now you need to be careful. If there's stuff on the outside here, then you'd have to simplify it first, but anything that looks like this is going to be false. So the absolute value of something cannot be equal to a negative. Okay? And you'll see more examples like this. I have another example here. We have the absolute value of 2x minus 7 is equal to 6. this is positive, so we can go ahead and start to solve it. There's nothing over here that we have to get rid of. So from here, we're going to set up our two equations, the positive one and the negative direction one. So we have 2x minus 7 is equal to 6. 2x minus 7 is equal to negative 6. And go ahead and start solving your equations for the values, for the variables. This 2x is going to come down. 2x, negative 7 plus 7 is 0. 6 plus 7 is 13, so we have 2x is equal to 13. Divide each side by 2. 2's go to 1 there, and x is equal to 13 over 2. Or x can be equal to whatever it is here. So the same steps, plus 7 on each side. That 2x is going to come down. 2x plus 0 is equal to positive 1. Divide both sides by 2. X is going to be equal to 1/2. So x is equal to 13 over 2, or x is equal to 1/2. Okay, so you're going to have multiple solutions here. Here we have another example. We have something on the outside. Now, a lot of mistake that you guys will make is you'll see this negative here, and right away you'll tell me that there's no solution. But that is incorrect. Remember, your number one step is to get your absolute value part by itself. So we have to get rid of this negative 2. So what's happening here, I want you to kind of think of it as like negative 2 times x minus 5 equal to negative 10. If you were solving this equation, the first thing you would do is get rid of that negative 2 by dividing by negative 2 on both sides. And that's exactly what we're going to do here, because this is negative 2 times this absolute value. So you're going to divide both sides by negative 2. Here, that's going to go to 1, and you're going to be left with the absolute value of x minus 5 is equal to a positive 5. Okay, so that's positive. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. So now that this is positive, you can go ahead and break it up into your positive and negative equations. X minus 5 is equal to 5, and x minus 5 is equal to negative 5. And then you solve them. Plus 5 on each side. That's going to go to 0, and you're going to have x equal to 0 on this side. And for your other equation, oh, that's not 0, that's 10. 5 plus 5 is 10. On this side, you're going to get your 0. X, that goes to 0, is equal to 0. So you have two values here, x is equal to 10 or x equal to 0. Both of these solutions will satisfy that equation. Okay, we'll go over it a little bit more in class. Here are some practice problems that I want you to do. Go ahead and solve for x. If you have any questions, let me know or shoot me a reminder, ask me in class.